Hello everybody, this is Ariane Arsenault from La Fée de la Mer, handmade soaps in the Madeleine Islands, Quebec, Canada. Today is part 2 of the review series, the first series on the soap equipment, pot tipper and pro molds. So if you haven't seen part 1 and would like to see how I made these big blocks of soap, click the link right up there as I will link to my video and you can watch how they were made, and then you can come back here to watch the rest of the sequence. Here you can see the soaps that were made yesterday. They were poured at around 5 p.m. It is now almost 10 a.m. and just by touching them, I can see that they are ready to be unmolded and cut. Here there's a crack and also a slightly smaller crack on the top of these molds, and that's normal. These real big blocks of soap generate heat, and often the top cracks, but that's only a thin layer and it doesn't crack all the way down. And I will remove them from the molds in just a few minutes, and then I will place them on this workstation where they will be placed on the base of the frame cutter, and I will be cutting through them with the frame cutter that's right here. So this is custom made for the dimensions of soaps that I make. So that I don't have to switch my labels, and the wires are not guitar strings, they're really heavy duty wires and they should not pop. To remove these from the molds, I'm going to need to loosen the nuts and remove the rods, but I will first swing these over onto my workstation. So here's the insulation blanket. You can see that I had a little bit of a leakage, but not so much. So we're just gonna go ahead and clean this out. And now I'm gonna take the mold apart. Ooh, there we go, we got one side off. And the other side is off. Last side. So maybe if I flip it around. Oh yeah. Ah, voila. Now I need to remove the bottom as well. I'm going to start by pulling away the release paper that is on all sides. Okay, now how do I remove the bottom? Tilt it to the side, gently, gently. So I'm just using a little knife to break the suction and remove the bottom part. Voila, very nice. And I'm gonna remove the release paper from the bottom as well. Now that the block has been unmolded completely, we're going to slide it onto the cutter and position. All right, I'm going to remove the safety right here. And one of the things that is really different when making these big blocks of soap is that often the outside is firm and the inside is really soft because it's still hot. So sometimes it takes a little bit more of elbow grease to go through breaking the top, and then it slides down like butter after this. So I'm gonna get a little help here, so you go here and let's push down. I need my stool. Okay, let's go. Okay, slowly. All right. So we just made it through the top, and now going down is gonna be much easier. Get up on my stool just to go and break through all the way down to the bottom. There we go. No need to go to the gym today. Anyways, I never go to the gym. I go to the soap shop. Okay. So I am expecting the outside of these bars to be nice and firm, but the middle can sometimes, and you can see it kind of sinking down, being still really hot and soft. So I'm gonna leave this here for a little while before I move them to my work table. This soap went through a pretty decent gel phase, and I'm gonna take out the first layer, and you can see that it's darker inside, and I'm gonna move it to my workstation. And the middle is still really, really soft. So now that I've removed a layer, air will be able to cool down this side of the brick, and I will come back and remove each layer as they firm up a little bit. Here's the third and last block, and I will attempt to cut through it alone. This one is a little less high, so maybe that will help me. Also a trick, you can take some distilled water in a spray bottle and spray the top of your soap just to soften it a little bit so that it's easier to break through the top. And also I kind of wiggle. I find that pushing the frame is actually easier than pushing the handles, just to be cutting through the top. All right, okay. And now I'm gonna grab onto the handles and push all the way down. Yes, kind of makes this click sound when you like cut through the bottom. And then you know that all of the wire are resting in the grooves below the soap block. So yay. Okay, let's take a little break here because so part one of this video was making the soap, and everything went really smoothly and everything was easy and effortless. I'm out of breath. I've just cut 3 of these blocks, and it is kind of a workout, and my body does feel a little tired. But also it was my first tryout, and I think that depending on the formulas of soap making, some of them must be easier to remove, so I will keep on experimenting with these. The part that I found the most difficult was actually taking the mold apart, as it was really sticking to my soap, and it was kind of like hard for me to pull it away from the sides. That was like a workout in itself. My cheeks are all red, my face is all red because I made so much effort. But I will have over 300 soaps made with these blocks, so I'm pretty happy. And we will continue now and to the next part of the video to cut these soap loaves into soap bars. Using a wet and clean rag, I just did a little bit of a cleanup. It was much more messier than that a couple minutes ago. And I removed the base, that attaches to this cutter. as I will be replacing it with another cutter. So I'm just going to remove this one here. And my other set is right here below. And this is the bar cutter. So I'm just going to position it right here for now. Secure it so that it doesn't slide down. Here is the base with the grooves that will, it should fit, if I can find the, okay, got it. So this fits right in here. So all of the bases, you can interchange them depending on what you're doing, which is great. And I'm going to start lining up the bricks on the cutter. And because this was my first batch, I know that I'm going to need to adjust because I will have a little bit of loss. But the next time I make a batch, I will know up to where to, you know, when to stop pouring so that I only have a little slice at both ends. But that's okay, it's a learning process, and I can always use my, my scraps as sample size. Okie dokie, so I have room for maybe another one. I'm gonna start with 3 rows of loaves for my first tryout. That's enough. And I tried and positioned them the best I could. I know that I'm gonna have some loss on both edges, but I'm gonna use these as samples. And once they're cured, I'll pop them in my online orders when people place an online order so they can try this amazing soap. Okay, so let's push down on the frames. Wiggle through the soap. Okay, I think we got it. Now let's push down. So if you have a helper, be careful. Use your helper. Push down. Okay, so we've made it through the first loaf of soap, and let's go down. Let's remove these little blocks of soap so that they don't fall. Okay. And voila! We made it all the way down. Here are 120 soap freshly cut. And I will now take them off of the cutter and place them in my soap equipment drying trays. Taking one row at a time, just placing the soaps in the drying trays. And I have purchased these drying trays many years ago. It was, I think, in 2012. And even though I did buy these from Soap Equipment, they don't carry this model anymore. If you go on their website, they will be green, but they're the exact same vented drying trays. And they're really great because you don't need to rotate your soap during the cure period as the air flows through the bottom as well. Oh, these soaps turned out really nice and lovely. Look at the swirls. Okay, so I'm used to like picking up a batch of freshly cut soaps and squeezing them together to place them in a drying tray. If you do that, just be careful because they could slip out. I just happen to have 15 years of practice, so that would help. Now just make sure that all of your soaps are evenly spaced so that air can flow through each, and that's how I do it. I am absolutely happy with the swirls inside of this soap. Making soap in a block mold versus a slab mold is definitely going to create different results, but there's totally ways of swirling soap and getting creative with them. This is a basic soap that I've been making for years, and it always has a really simple swirl like this. I really am excited to try and do more intricate swirling with these big block molds. Go. Woohoo! With Daddy's help. Like that. Ah. Next layer down. All right. Yay! Thank you. All soaps have been cut, and this is how my work area looks like after making all of the soap. And oops, here are the soaps. Hello, in their drying trays. There's another tray that I already took downstairs, and in that tray all of my leftover pieces are there. So you need some muscle to do this part of production, but it was not that bad. It is a little bit messy in my workshop right now, but it's soap, so it's all good. I'm just gonna take a scraper, take all of the crumbs out, and then wash everything else with a wet rag, and some things can be actually washed in the sink, so that's pretty easy. I will need to adjust my formula batch size so that I don't have so much excess next time. It was my first batch, so it was also a good timing for me to test out, you know, my quantities. I didn't really know like how tall I should pour each block. So now I have a better idea, and next time I won't have as much loss. But it's not really loss, because as I said, I will be using these smaller sizes and labeling them as samples, and I'll be giving these out, and I have quite a few. So the total soaps made after being cut and without counting the extra sample size bars was 345 bars of the Sand Dune soaps. These soaps have been identified with their name and the dates they were made, and they will go in my drying area for 1 month before being labeled and available for purchases. If you remember from video part 1, these have been made with palm done right, sustainable, organic, and fair trade palm oil. And as a soap maker, you can look for the palm done right distributors in your area. There are distributors in the US, in Canada, and I don't know about the rest of the world, but everything is on the palmdoneright.com website, and I will leave the links below. And as a consumer, you can look for the Palm Done Right logo on the products that you purchase to make sure that you're using a soap with sustainably harvested and organically grown palm oil. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed my first tryout of the pot tipper and pro molds with cutters, and I will see you soon in another review video for soap equipment. Thank you, and make sure to visit soapequipment.com.